Welcome back everybody, it's the Night Sky Prince again. Recently it was confirmed by director Hajime Tabata that a secret Arden DLC has been in the works, as he wanted to tell it, the perspective of the final boss. Considering episode Arden won't likely make it into the range of the current season pass, it begs the question, is another full year worth of content in the pipeline for Final Fantasy XV? Tabata has said time and time again that he's willing to keep working on new Final Fantasy XV content, as long as people are still willing to play it. However, we all know there's a financial barrier to doing that. In order to make more content than what's already announced in the current season pass, more money is needed so that Square doesn't run themselves into a financial hole. And while, me personally, I would enjoy seeing a Final Fantasy XV 2 that featured an alternative timeline or the perspective of Arden from 2,000 years ago when he was destined to be a King of Light, a second season pass could be pretty awesome for a number of reasons. And if you like all the content in this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button for all the content in this video and even more to come. For starters, episode Arden. This one is confirmed. We don't know how this DLC could possibly work, if it would take place in the far past or during FF15's story. If I had to pick, I would set the events prior to Kingsglaive and detail how Arden became the Chancellor of Niflheim. Show in depth how he masterminded his schemes to take over Lucius and reclaim his throne. This episode would provide a great opportunity to get insights to Arden's lust for revenge that we couldn't possibly be shown through the scope of the main game or Kingsglaive. You'll never guess who Izunia was. You're wrong, Arden. Me and other FF15 theorists have spent a long time wondering who the hell Izunia was. Episode Arden should be the perfect opportunity to tell us. Next, and I think everyone has sort of demanded this, I would love to see an episode Lunafreya. I really would. Luna was built up as this absolutely pivotal character to the story, only so we could see her for what felt like 5 minutes in the game. An exaggeration? Yeah, but it doesn't feel like one. Seeing Kingsglaive Luna made Luna seem like she was going to be a really interesting character, fully explored in the main game, which made her role simply weird. As far as what an episode Luna could contain, it'd be really interesting to see her awakening astrals. The immediate problem with doing an episode Luna, however, would be how would combat work, if there were any. Luna doesn't seem much for traditional combat, and her White Mage-esque skills don't seem like they would lend well to combat either. Personally, it would be cool if it was an entire interactive story DLC that didn't directly contain any combat, like using dialogue choices to convince Astrals to test Noctis for forging the Covenant. Another piece of content I would like to see would be an episode Regis. Now this one is actually the one I think could be the most emotional. When this is brought up, a lot of people think of retconning the events of Kingsglaive, which I don't agree with doing. In fact, I would tell it after the Omen trailer but before the start of Final Fantasy XV, in which King Regis reflects on his sacrifice that he's about to make for Noctis. From there, I would tell the story of King Regis on his way to Tenebrae for Noctis to seek healing, essentially making this an escort mission. I know what you're thinking. Prince, escort missions pretty much suck chocobo turds. And generally speaking, you're right. I totally agree with you. But the point of this episode would actually be the father-son narrative. Telling it as King Regis retrospectively would allow him to give a lot of insight into his own feelings about the sacrifice that he's prepared to make for his son so that he could fulfill his duty. So in this way, having to look after a young Noctis would actually be an important part of the narrative. Finally, more than anything, I think I would like to see an alternative ending. It always seemed like to me on the box art of the game, Noctis was about to fight the Lucii. I can't help but wonder if Noctis said, screw this King of Light crap and resisted his destiny, like any Final Fantasy character would. This alternative path would certainly explain the Omen trailer, and why Noctis started to lose the power of kings in it. My ideal happy ending would go back to Chapter 9. Instead of all the guys being separated during the Leviathan fight, perhaps they all fought together, and they're able to stop Arden from killing Luna. Luna survives, and Noctis then finds out about the power of kings. His brotherhood stands with him to not sacrifice his life. If this sounds familiar, Final Fantasy X is basically where I'm headed. In which case, Noctis would have to fight the Lucii and claim his victory. With Noctis realizing the truth and deciding to fight the Lucii, Arden would no longer become a chaotic evil and be more of a lawful neutral as he also seeks the end of the Lucii. Noctis would then fight the Lucii and have an emotional moment at the end where he's forced to fight against his father, the former king. And then everyone lives and it's happily ever after. Yay! These are just some ideas of what a second season of Final Fantasy XV could look like. Episode Arden is the only one we know we're getting for sure, and it remains to be seen if it'll be included in this season pass, by itself, or with another season pass entirely. I think season passes can be great when they offer substantial content that didn't fit in the realm of the main game. However, I know many of you don't like season passes and don't want to see another one, but there is also a lot of you who would love to see a second season of Final Fantasy XV and would love to know more about the game's story. I personally follow in the latter more so than the former. So what do you think? Is there anything you'd like to see in a second season pass of Final Fantasy XV? A character episode? A new type of DLC? Tell everyone what you think in the comments below. If you're curious about the girl in the thumbnail, today's featured cosplayer is the Maddie Hatter. She's an incredible Lunafreya cosplayer. If Luna's your waifu, then you'll really want to check out her content. Links to both her and her photographers are available in the description below.